everybody that I know that owns firearms are legitimately owns firearms, are completely responsible people. They're not big drinkers. They certainly don't present to the public that they are. All the people that I know, that own firearms, they come out, they recreationally relax and shoot their firearms and enjoy the therapeutic value connected to firearms. I love encouraging on an ongoing basis new shooters all the time. We're getting them out every week. I mean, that's something I wanted to talk about. The idea that 43,000 people would flock to the Instagram page, a place where people seem to be really enjoying, the 100% content, original content we're putting out there, and the information we're putting out there. I mean, it's for everybody. It's for new people. It's for seasoned people. I try and keep it uncomplicated enough that new people aren't intimidated, but at the same time, I think it's important that I maintain the interest of the people that do understand firearms. And I love when people correct me because I make mistakes. I mean, there's so many different firearms out there, and I love my vintage firearms, and there are literally millions. Of makes and models and configurations, and I can make a mistake at any given time in terms of identifying something and or understanding the history or the significance of something. I love when people correct me. Nobody likes being corrected, but I love the idea that this community has grown to the point where people are coming forward and saying, no, wait a minute, right? That gun was made 75 years ago. It was made by this man, and you know what? This is why it's important, and I love that. And it's become a place, a huge database of knowledge, and a place that I would actively encourage anybody who loves firearms to come to. It certainly has evolved into a platform that has allowed me an opportunity to reach out. We've got a lot of support now coming from various places. It's been very encouraging. North Silva, Wolverine Supplies, Firearms Outlet Canada, Lance Shooting Supplies, the various gun clubs have all jumped on board. They love the message that we're putting forward, which is that the legitimate firearm community is awesome, and the idea that we need to move forward together as one voice. That when you are dissatisfied with something, and there are going to be times, clearly there's been a lot of movement by the government to malign us, and by the media, maybe perhaps to malign us, and by the government to execute further restrictions on the legitimate firearm community, which I've maintained from the start. If we're not the problem, why are you creating new legislation that restricts us? We're regulated to an inch of our lives already. We want something that has an impact on the criminal element, not necessarily us. And I think that the more time you spend wasting tax dollars on us, the less time you're actually attacking the real problem, if there in fact there is one. So to put forward that large foot forward in a positive way to the public, and to present to the public this image, the reality that firearms owners are fantastic people, that they're terrifically responsible people, that they're actually the finest people in the nation. When you look at them statistically, we just don't commit crimes. We're not the kind of people that you find knocking over mini marts at 3 a.m. That's not us. We don't kill people. Statistically, when they look at the death rates involving firearms, when you break it down, legitimate firearm owners don't even register as a percent. That's how few are actively involved in something like that. They're just not. Certainly, firearms require regulation. I really do believe that. Some people would criticize me for that, but I really do believe that firearms do require regulation. You don't want these items to end up in the wrong hands. I don't have any issues with proper screening taking place and to make sure that people are vetted for mental health issues. I don't believe that some people should have access to firearms, and that's the process that we have when you apply for a firearm license. The background checks, the screenings, the trainings, the certifications are all by design. It's engineered to weed out people that shouldn't belong there. If the government is beginning to create new legislation or more legislation that further restricts legitimate firearm owners, I think really what they're saying is they don't trust their own selection process. I haven't given the government any reason to mistrust me. I don't know that our government officials can say the same. And when I look at some of the decisions being made, certainly there's some things going on that require our constant attention and input. If you see something going on in Parliament, I tell people all the time. you should watch the parliamentary sessions. Look at what's going on in there. You know, I'm seeing a lot of shuffling of feet. I'm seeing a lot of questions getting dodged. You know, important questions, right? Questions of integrity, questions regarding ethics. You know, the idea that you would attack the statistically the finest group of Canadians in the nation while not answering serious questions about you know, ethical conduct at the parliamentary level is inexcusable. We need to, I believe, as a community, stand up and call your member of parliament. And if you don't think that it makes a difference, I can tell you right now it does. You know, 43,000 people on that Instagram page. I love telling people when the time is right. I don't believe in abusing it, but when I see something that is clearly wrong, look on the Instagram page. I will tell you that this is what's happening. I think it's wrong, and if you're dissatisfied, perhaps you should contact Ralph Goodale's office. Perhaps you should contact your member of parliament. You know, perhaps at the end of this video, we'll provide you with a list of the names, telephone numbers, and potentially email addresses of your members of parliament across Canada. I'd like to do that for you. I'll make it simple for you. I'll even come up with template letters that I will write on the Instagram page and on Facebook if you would like to perhaps draw from those to better understand how to express yourself. I think it's always important that you express yourself in a composed way. I don't want to see anybody lose control. You definitely won't want to be maligned or be categorized as somebody with poor impulse control. But if you're dissatisfied with the things that you're seeing and hearing, if you're tired of being maligned and or perhaps categorized in the same column as criminals and drug dealers, express that to your member of parliament. Tell them, all right, that there's no way that you're going to continue to vote and keep in office somebody who supports any kind of legislation that results in further restriction in your life while having no impact on the criminal element.